Welcome back to the Grid Aces show. I'm your host, Connor Hall, here with Mr. Football, Chase Godey. We got an excellent show ahead today. We took a break, a little bit of a week off, no football for a week. If you want to count the Pro Bowl as football, you can. But listen, we decided to give us some time. Now, in that time, Chase, we've had a couple things come up. All-Stars were fully announced as far as the reserves go. We had some trades recently with the deadline coming up Thursday. We're going to talk recap on the NFC AFC championship games. And then we're also going to preview a little bit of the Super Bowl going forward. But first, Chase, how we feeling?
Feeling amazing. It's another day here on God's beautiful earth. And so I can't complain whatsoever. Just want to say shout out to our first ever sponsor, 7UP. We know that they no longer exist, so that's why we are allowed to have them sponsor us.
Big fan of the show, by the way.
But no, feeling good. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good. I'm tired. I was just watching the Pro Bowl and was almost asleep, and then you called and kind of got me back up and going. So let's get right into the Pro Bowl.
Yes.
Shout out Shedeur.
Shedeur Sanders, the GOAT. Question for you, Connor. Would you rather have to watch 3 hours? Actually, I'm going to take this back. Would you have to rather watch the Pro Bowl, probably last 2.5 hours, on repeat?
Or the Cats movie?
24 hours, okay? Or spend a day in prison? Okay, how about this? I'll make it a little more fair. 24 hours straight of the Pro Bowl or 48 hours in prison, because obviously I know it's too easy taking prison if it's 24 hours.
I'll take the prison. I'll take jail time.
You have to, honestly. Yeah. At least then you're not tortured by watching that just horrific show there. But I'm actually glad that this year they finally because every year there's always some alternates that kind of bother me, whether it's Tyler Huntley got it as an alternate, Mac Jones got it as an alternate, Jimmy Garoppolo's gotten it as an alternate. So there's been some over the years you're like, really?
Mm-hmm.
But this year at least there's nobody like that. That's what I like about it. The Pro Bowlers this year, it's all 100% deserving people that are there.
Is that how you feel?
Yeah, no, I mean, honestly, you love seeing, just elite players that have these elite seasons, and obviously just where the team let them down, like Joe Flacco, like Shedeur Sanders, where obviously just elite seasons, statistically, eye test, every metric you can think of. It's good to see that those guys are getting honored and being there at the Pro Bowl over guys that clearly didn't deserve it. Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, these guys that people think are talented when the real talent is found, in the backup quarterback position.
I'm glad you brought that light to us.
So actually, this is for all the Shedeur Sanders haters out there. I've heard a lot of people saying, "Oh, he doesn't deserve it. Oh, he only played in 6 games. Oh, he threw more INTs than touchdowns." There's 2 ways I look at it. First of all, we all can agree, right? All the Shedeur Sanders haters, that was a top 10 Cleveland Browns rookie quarterback season. I can't think of 10 better rookie quarterbacks with the Browns. I can't. So automatically it's top 10 in something. And then let's all be real. If you were the Cleveland Browns quarterback, your numbers would be similar, slightly worse. So that's where I am.
If I was the Cleveland Browns quarterback, my numbers probably would be similar.
Yeah, no, maybe slightly worse. I think, honestly, the difference between obviously you and him, maybe a tick worse on the touchdown interception ratio.
They could pay me a couple mil to throw an interception or throw some incomplete passes.
Sacks. I think you might take less sacks, to be honest. So I mean, there's pros and cons of that. But I think over if you took your average everyday American, he played better than that at quarterback for the Browns. So I would say if you looked at average Americans and said, hey, your average American's got to go play quarterback, he would be a Pro Bowler amongst that group.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Shout out the Pro Bowl. Shout out Shedeur Sanders. Got to see Joe Burr out there smiling today. At least that part was good. He enjoys the Pro Bowl a little bit more than the Cincinnati Bengals. He doesn't get tackled.
The defense is about similar, though. the defense is about similar to what he usually has to deal with Cincinnati.
Hey,
So
shout out the AFC though. Up to this point, when I turned it off, score was 14-0. They went on a 31-0 run. So
yeah, and I love the refs getting all technical with it. Oh, you can't hold it for 4 seconds. Oh, that's a safety.
yeah,
Oh, ball.
they think this is about them or some.
It's
Jason
brutal.
Kelsey was on there losing his mind. Might get fined for it. If
Yeah,
not, then it's rigged.
he dropped an F-bomb and was criticizing the officials.
That's like the best part of the show.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's enough Pro Bowl talk. It probably got about 5 minutes too long.
How many
But
other minutes we talked about it?
yeah, exactly. The exactly 5 minutes we talked about it was too much. But yeah, so NBA talk. We got some crazy stuff happening right now. First, let's talk a little bit of trade deadline stuff. Your Utah Jazz. Well, I guess we'll start it off a little back in the day when there was only one trade on the season. Trae Young went to the Wizards for CJ McCollum, Corey Kispert, right? That was the only trade all season. All the analysts, myself as well, was worried that this deadline was going to be a dud. It's turned out to be pretty fire. So today, last night we got a couple trades, a couple small ones. We had Keon Ellis and Dennis Schroeder sent over for DeAndre Hunter over to Sacramento. So I love this deal for Cleveland. Don't necessarily love it for Sacramento. It doesn't really make sense. Then we had another little trade. Dualpree sent over for just a couple second-round picks to the Trailblazers.
This sounds like the Pro Bowl of trades here.
Yeah, this is the Pro Bowl of trades.
Let's get to the Super Bowl of trades. Come on now.
And then it came out, breaking news last night, that James Harden informed the Clippers that he wanted out. So that's kind of crazy. 13 hours ago, or I guess 24 hours ago, none of us would have had on our minds James Harden being traded. Then this morning we start off hot. Jaren Jackson Jr. sent over to Utah, your Utah Jazz, for a couple of nothing. We got Kyle Anderson, we got Walter Clayton Jr., and we got 3 first-round picks, and there was one more salary filler in there. For Jaren Jackson,
Niang.
John Conchar.
Niang.
Oh, that's right, Georges Niang, John Conchar, and Vince Williams. So fire trade for the Jazz. They went on and said, this is our last year trying to lose. Now, one of the picks is top 8 protected. Their first round pick this year's top 8 protected. So y'all will probably still not be great. Laurie's been out a lot. Keontae George has been out here and there. Jaren they'll probably limit Jaren's play time to try and stay bad, to hopefully set themselves up for next year with a Darren Peterson, AJ DeBonsa, Carlos Boozer, Caleb Wilson, even like a Kingston Fleming or a Michael Brown.
I want those top 4.
But yeah, top 4 ideally, right? But obviously if it falls out of top 8, that goes to Oklahoma City. So Jazz fans rooting for Jazz to be bad this year. So that was a fire trade. What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I guess, I always think football terms, and I guess giving up 3 first-rounders in football is pretty absurd. But you have made me feel better about it because it sounds like it's not that absurd to you. So
I would say first-round picks in the NFL are a lot more valuable than in the NBA.
And you said the Jazz didn't give up this year's?
Yeah, so this year's, they have a top 8 protected pick as it is, and they gave up 3 future firsts. So all you got to root for is just that pick doesn't fall out of top 8. But I was telling another Jazz fan,
8, then it goes to them.
Then it goes to Oklahoma City.
Each.
So I was telling another Jazz fan, if it falls out of top 8, there's good talent there. Don't get me wrong, but
I think they may have won tonight.
Is that game over?
So they're up 10 in the fourth. It was like 121 to 111.
To be fair, the more games you win when you're bad, the more likely you're going to get a top pick. But yeah, I don't know.
It's just fun to see, obviously, when your team sucks, to do something fun, because then at least it creates hope. and hope as a sports fan is like all that we have most years. And then, obviously as soon as the season starts, then it just gets torn down, right? Like obviously like, you've experienced that year in, year out as a Cardinals fan, right? There's always hope, like, oh, that was a great draft, we got great pieces. Oh no, we can do this. We got a good offensive coordinator, right? You just get all this hope going to then, 5 weeks into the season, you're like, we're cooked. When's next year starting, and then you just do that cycle of hope again. And it's what makes loving sports so much fun is because obviously that's all we have most years is the hope. And then every once in a while, the hope comes to fruition. So I'm
Yeah.
excited about it. Obviously, yeah, I mean, I think I'm more excited for when we get a top 4 pick and get one of those 4 people that you mentioned there, Caleb Wilson,
So I want to
Darren
ask you,
Peterson, Boozer, or AJ.
you have the number one overall pick. Right now it's set. AJ is going number one, or excuse me, Darren Peterson 1, AJ 2, Carlos, or not Carlos, Cam 3, and then Caleb
Caleb
Wilson
4.
4.
Those are the odds currently, like where they're.
That's where most of the projections are, like majority. I don't know what the odds are,
You don't think it
specifically
depends
are.
on who's picking where? Like some people might
It
be like,
does for
well,
sure,
hey.
but I'm saying for you, right? Jazz are number one. I'm
So
I'm
I
a,
think the
I'm a
Jazz are
guess
in a
you're not taking
unique.
Cam, but who are you taking between Darren and AJ?
Yeah, I think so. I think the Jazz are in a unique spot with like AJ playing at BYU and how much the fan base loves him. That I think that they would go AJ number one if they had the opportunity. Because we also got to remember Ryan Smith, the owner of the Jazz, is footing, apparently, the rumor, a couple million for the man to be playing at BYU right now. So my guess is
That's what I've heard too.
if the Jazz have the opportunity to pick AJ, that the owner of the team is like, well, I paid him a couple million to play for the BYU, the team I don't even own. I would definitely want him here. So I would say, and I think AJ would like that as well. And for these superstar players, it's not often that they want to be in Utah, right? Like I'm pretty sure Ace Bailey didn't want to come to Utah. Not that he was a superstar, but one of those guys. It's like they don't want to come to Utah. I'm sure if you ask Darren Peterson, maybe he doesn't want to come to Utah. I'm trying to think of like the other options that he would have. I mean, some would probably be worse, but there's definitely usually people can think of better places. So
Yeah, you
I
got to
would
get that
love to
boy Cooper Flag over in
I
Utah.
would love to get a guy that wants to be in Utah to the point where it's like they're going to want to stay here. It's not like, oh, we develop an awesome superstar, Donovan Mitchell, and then all we hear about is, oh, Salt Lake, this sucks. It's terrible. I hate being here. And then they leave, right? I want somebody that loves to be in Utah. So that way, when they become a superstar in this league and an all star, that then they want to stay. So I think they're going to go AJ if they have the opportunity. I don't know if that's necessarily the best thing for them, but I think it's what they're going to do.
Do you think
I'm trying.
AJ wants to be in Utah, or do you think he wants to be at BYU because of Kevin Young?
So, no, I think that's the main reason he wants to be with BYU. But let's also rewind. He chose to go to that prep academy in Utah to play basketball for his high school ball, right?
Yeah.
And, he could have, I know he wanted to go with Kevin, but he could have gotten the same amount of money from other schools. And he knows they're in Utah. And he seems, and so far what he said about Utah is that he likes it and enjoys it, which is more so than I've ever heard Darren Peterson say, Carlos Boozer, or
Darren
sorry,
Peterson leaving the
Boozer.
second that he's up for a second contract, dude.
Exactly. Yeah, same with Boozer, right? You can't tell me Carlos Boozer's not going to be in Cam Boozer's ear. Just be like, dude,
Dude,
you're
get
not
out of
playing
there.
there. Like, let's go get you something going with the Bulls, Or, and then I guess I don't know necessarily enough about Caleb Wilson's situation, but I'm sure he would probably be like, yeah, as soon as I have an opportunity to go play in LA or New York, if he's a true transcendent superstar. So,
Caleb Wilson strikes me as a loyal guy,
no, he
but
does.
that's
Yeah, I
just
mean,
that
I guess that's
UNC
fair,
blood.
but I didn't really think Donovan Mitchell would ever become that type of person, right? He seemed like he was pretty loyal and, obviously wasn't the highest of picks, but
But he
um,
actually a hoe.
yeah, but yeah, so I don't know. I like AJ. I think the best player, I mean, the way I've kind of looked at it is I think, in my opinion, right now, Darren Peterson's the best basketball player. I still believe, partially due to his height and where he has room to improve, that AJ Devonsta has the highest potential. So, I think it depends. I mean, I'm going to, I think if AJ can develop a better shot and, then, yeah, he's 6'9". Darren Peterson 6'6".
Yeah.
Like
I
that's where I
definitely
feel.
think Darren Peterson has the best potential, but I see where you're coming from, and I don't necessarily hate the take, and I don't hate him going one either. Like I'm cool with either of the two. Um,
Like what superstars have been coming into the league that are like, I don't know. I just feel like a lot of the superstars that are coming in and that are like almost kind of dominating. Like I get Shea came in and he has been dominating. What's Shea? He's probably what six? What is he? 6'5", 6'6"?
yeah, I think he's listed at 6'6".
Okay, so that's like, and he almost seems smaller now, but you see guys where it's just like, I feel like a lot of the people that have been MVPs and been getting tons of this talk are like, the Giannis, the Wemby, the, Jokic. It's like these freaks that are so tall and
I
big,
mean,
and then
recently, yeah,
and they can shoot. I almost think that's like what the game is like, hey, we need to find tall dudes that can space out the floor and shoot. Like how tall's Flag? What's Flag, 6'8"?
6'8", 6'9", right
Yeah,
there.
so he's up there as well. Yeah, it's just like you're like, dude, how do these dudes can score and create at 6'9"? Like, I don't think that was always, the case. It felt like it used to be that
Definitely,
the
yeah,
6'5",
definitely
6'6"
not.
guys.
Like, and we saw. I don't know if you saw Jason Kidd's interview the other day because he's received criticism for putting Cooper Flag at point guard. But the thing that's interesting about the skill set of the NBA these days
Mm-hmm.
is it's like you said, all these 6'8", 6'9" dudes are now able to facilitate, play make, handle the ball like crazy. Victor Wembanyama's 7'4", handling the ball like a
Yeah,
guard. So
exactly.
when you break it down that way, like yeah, the wing
I just think of the
spot,
league
it
segueing
feels
to
like
these
there's a lot
tall
more
guys.
value in
Yeah,
wings, right?
just these tall guys that can
Um,
shoot. And I just don't know what Darren Peterson, when I watch him play, I'm like, I don't really know what he can get better at. Like, it looks like it's pretty refined. Like, I guess you can always get a little bit better at shooting, a little bit better at passing. But, like, in my opinion, there's not really a weakness to Darren Peterson's game when I watched it. And given I don't know much about basketball, but when I watch AJ DeBonsta, I'm like, dude, if this guy can get a shot, like his post moves are elite. He's 6'9". He's so crazy long that he can have the ball at the free throw line, not moving, take 2 steps, and he's dunking it. Like I just think if that man can develop a shot and get a little bit better of like dribbling and ball handling skills, then I'm like, dude, that might be one of the greatest players of all time. I'm not saying I think that's going to happen, but just watching how he moves versus Peterson, it's like, yeah, he's just 3-4 inches shorter than DeBonsta.
yeah, all in all, this draft class special for sure.
Where would you draft Cooper Flag in this draft? I mean, obviously you've seen he's been balling out. I mean, he didn't have the most
I
amazing
would take
first 20
him.
games.
I would take him no later than third, and I would, depending on who lands where, you could argue too.
So
But
right
that's also
now,
hindsight after. Like if you were to ask me the same question at
after
the
this
beginning of
year, and you
last year's
see,
draft,
yeah.
I would have probably put him around third or fourth. I think I still would have had him over Cam Boozer. But now seeing how he's been balling out, I'm almost like,
Yeah.
damn, dude, I didn't
And
know
I,
he had this
and
scoring potential.
I know he and Boozer are different types of players, but Boozer's numbers are way more insane than that. Cooper Flag's were.
Yeah,
Obviously, it's just stats, but and right, you can say that now. Where you're like, dude, Flag's been balling in the league, but we might have this conversation in, next year, and we're gonna watch. Maybe it's Darren Peterson, Cooper Flag. They're both dropping 20 plus. They're 20 plus, a game, and then Caleb Wilson's balling, and you're like, dude, I might actually drop him back down to 4.
well, what's crazy is Cooper Flag's averaging 20 a game this year.
No, I know. But like, right, we don't know what this rookie class is going to do,
Oh
Because
yeah,
if you would
no,
have
for
told me
sure.
like, oh, where would like, with that CJ Stroud draft in the NFL, right?
Hmm.
CJ Stroud went 2 and he had one of the most amazing rookie seasons. And then I asked you with that amazing class that was coming in with, you know, um, Caleb Wilson, Caleb Caleb Williams. I'm literally getting confused
It
on
gets
them.
it, yeah, it gets it
And
blundered. I've done it a
then
couple
Bo
times.
Nix and Drake May. And I said, hey, before those guys had been picked, who are you taking? Where are you putting CJ Stroud? A lot of people be like, dude, I'm putting CJ Stroud 1, right? Because it was the most amazing rookie season, right?
Hmm.
And then a year later, we're like, oh my goodness, this Jaden Daniels guy is absurd,
And
and he
CJ
got even
Stroud
better. And then
garbage.
2 years later, right, you'd be like, dude, I'd take every single one of those quarterbacks ahead of him. I'd take 9 ahead of him.
Give me 9.
So that's just what's funny. Like, obviously, hindsight's funny because like Cooper Flag could have an amazing year this year and then have a bad year next year, or obviously just keep going crazy. And all these guys that we think are really, really good, who knows? Maybe they come into the league and Darren Peterson still can't play a full
The reason I
game.
love Cooper Flag
You like him
is
because he's white.
that's crazy. The reason I love Cooper Flag is because regardless of his offensive output, his defensive upside will always be there. He has the defense. He has the skill, the keys to play defense at a very high level. And going into this into the draft last year, that was what he was mainly sought after. Was yes, he averaged almost 20 in college, but it was his defense, his athletic ability, his length, his athleticism, and that's why they took him one.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm like, I'd still take him top 3 even without the offense. But then now he's just showing just this offensive ability we didn't know he had, and so that's where it's cool.
Do you think it's also partially just because he's on a crappy team that they like have to have somebody shoot the ball?
I mean, you have to make
Like,
shots.
right? So, like I'm saying, if he was on an OKC, do you think he's putting up 20 points? Probably not, right?
No, he's not
might
putting
have
up
a different
20, but he's
role.
still. I bet he'd
Yeah.
average 15 still.
Yeah, and we'd be talking about him like, yeah, I'd take him third. You know, I think sometimes, and this is no fault to him because he can't control where he is, and he's obviously
Yeah,
wrong.
but rookies,
But I think
like number
sometimes
1 overall picks,
rookies
are always
on-
in this situation.
No, yeah, I get it. And sometimes, I mean, not always, right? I mean, can't OKC have like a top pick this year or something? I thought they were at the beginning of the year. Oh, so they had the Clippers pick, but the Clippers started playing better. But yeah, no, I just think sometimes these rookies they get put in just such crappy situations where it's like, dude, somebody's got to score the ball, you know?
I mean,
And
yeah.
they just start like it's like, you know, Jordan Poole or whatever was on the Wizards and he was dropping all those points. But yeah, well, somebody has to score, you know.
When he was
But
with
he's
Steph
not.
Curry.
Yeah, no, I meant when he went to the Wizards. Didn't he have like a first?
Oh,
first
I thought
year
you
with
said
the Wizards
Warriors.
kid? No,
No, he was garbage on the Wizards.
I thought his first year with the Wizards, he was like just hucking up shots, and he was like, yeah, well, of course.
Yeah, but it's different. Like you look at like a Cam Thomas who averages like 25 a game, yet he's only making $4 million a year because he's just a shot chucker. Like the thing with Cooper Flag is he's an efficient scorer.
It
Like
doesn't
it's
have
not like
anything.
he's just chucking up shots. Like I think he dropped 49 on like 28 shots, which is like 20 of 28, which is crazy. So, but let's get a little bit into the Jaren Jackson trade. It's going to set y'all up nice. If you can get a top pick this year, next year's roster is going to be looking real fun. So I'm excited for y'all. But after that, we had a couple Bulls trades. Bulls trade for Jaden Ivey, send Kevin Huerter and Dario Saric over to the Pistons. And then they also finally, for the Bulls fans out there, shout out to y'all, finally got rid of Vucevic for Anthony Simons from the Celtics and then second round pick swap. So good on y'all. I thought that was a good trade. Now you got a plethora of guards though, so you got to figure out what the heck you're doing over there. And then just barely came out. James Harden traded to the Cavaliers for Darius Garland and a second round pick. So James Harden and a second for Darius Garland, I believe is the trade. I could have that mixed up. But this is huge for the Cavs. Donovan Mitchell wasn't going to sign an extension. He said, listen, y'all got to prove to me that we can, we'll see how this postseason goes, how far we make it, what happens. And I think that put a lot of pressure on Cleveland, and they made a move to try and go out and win. So I love the deal for them. I don't necessarily always love trading for a player that's 10 years older, even if he is the better player. But we've seen this tenure of this Cavs teams for the last 4 years. It hasn't panned out to be anything. So I think it was a good trade all in all. And I'm actually excited to see Darius Garland out in LA. So that's going to wrap up the trades for now. Trade deadline Thursday. So more to come. We'll talk about that next week. But All-Stars were fully released. So it's going to be broken down into 3 teams this year. I'm kind of excited for the format. It's going to be USA versus the world. Maybe we'll actually get some competitiveness. Jamal Murray, who is an All-Star this year, went on and talked about how he's going to give it his all. He's tired of watching players disrespect the game by not really trying. So I'm excited for it. But Team USA stars, it is Scotty Barnes, Devin Booker, Cade Cunningham, Jalen Duren, Anthony Edwards, Chet Holmgren, Jalen Johnson, and Tyrese Maxey, coached by J.B. Bickerstaff. Then USA stripes, Jaylen Brown, Jalen Brunson, Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, LeBron James, Kawhi Leonard, Donovan Mitchell, Norman Powell, coached by Mitch Johnson. Then the world, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Denny Avdia, Luka Doncic, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Nikola Jokic, Jamal Murray, Pascal Siakam, Karl Anthony Towns, and Victor Wembanyama, coached by Darko Rajakovic. So,
world taking it easy.
Yeah.
I
On
want to
paper, it does look that way for sure.
know.
But let's get into a little bit of the, who was snubbed, who deserves to be on this list, who doesn't. I want to before I give you my takes on it, I want to ask you who doesn't deserve to be on this list and who does deserve.
I think LeBron James doesn't deserve to be anywhere near this list. I mean, but
It's such a joke.
I get why he's in there, right? Because obviously it drives the ratings, you know. And at the end of the day, you can't be mad at it because it's not as bad as Shadur being in the Pro Bowl.
Well, the
So
funny thing is he's already said he's not even going to play if he like they were asking him.
is that because he's not going to be a starter? Is it because he's butthurt? To be honest,
No, I mean, I think it's more so to preserve his body at this point. He wants to just take the break. But it was before the All Stars came out, right? They asked him. They're like, if
because he
you
knew he wasn't going to be a starter, so he just
yeah,
was like, "Oh, I'm not even going to play anyway."
yeah. And
Get him out
honestly,
of there.
like LeBron has kind of started the whole not trying era. It's been a lot of LeBron not trying, and then a lot of these older guys have kind of fallen into that as well, which has made it hard for the new guys to kind of get excited about it too. So, I could go on about LeBron, but I would say obviously he doesn't deserve it. He's had chemistry issues in the locker room with the team. The Lakers they've been good, but um, they've been underwhelming. They had the easiest schedule to start the season, and they're still barely in the playoffs. They've been going back and forth with the Suns and Wolves in the play-in. So originally my snub was Kawhi Leonard. They released it today that he was on it. I thought it was gonna be funny that the All-Star game was going to be an Intuit Dome, and there wasn't going to be a Clippers player, especially with Kawhi Leonard averaging almost 28, 3.6 assists, and 6 rebounds. The Clippers haven't been great, but they have been the hottest team in basketball lately. I think 17-4 was their little record over the last couple runs. I love to see Norman Powell on here. He's been balling out of his mind, so he deserves some love. And then Jamal Murray, he's been balling while Jokic was out, kept the Nuggets alive and still up there as a top 3 seed in the West. The two that are interesting to me out of the East are one, Karl Anthony Towns, averaging 23 and 11 or 12, excuse me. But he's had a down year. I haven't loved what I've seen from Karl Anthony Towns. And then my issue with Pascal Siakam is just that they're one of the worst teams in ball. So, there's not much arguments as to who should be over him. You could say Brandon Ingram because the Raptors are doing so well. You could say, I don't know, guys like, I guess Pascal's fine. I'm not super mad at it. Scotty Barnes is in there, so that's good. I'm trying to think. There's a guy I'm not thinking of, but overall, I actually don't hate that. I think there's a lot less snubs this year. The East, it was like, all right, you can name maybe 9 or 10 guys that could be an All-Star this year. And then, I guess the one I'd have over Pascal is probably Bam. But then it's like, do you have 2 Heat players when the Heat are a play-in team at best? So I don't know. There's a lot of conversation about it, but I don't hate the selections outside of LeBron. I wish Dillon Brooks made it. That's like a bias pick. He's just been balling out. He's kept the Suns alive while Devin Booker and Jalen Green have been out. Had a career high 40 ball the other night. Everybody hates Dillon Brooks, but at the end of the day, he's LeBron's daddy, so just get over it. But no, I'm just kidding. But yeah, Dillon Brooks was kind of the homer pick. I didn't think it was going to happen. Kawhi or James Harden or both were like, for me, I'm like, these guys have to be in. But yeah, Dillon Brooks is averaging better stats than LeBron, so that's the funny thing about it, but whatever. But yeah, I think that's enough NBA talk. Shout out the All-Stars. Hopefully this All-Star game this year is going to be elite. So far there are so far looks like the teams are set, and we'll find out who the 3-point contest contestants are The dunk contests, a couple have been announced. We'll wait till the full roster or the full roster gets announced before we get into that. But shout out the NBA All-Stars, trade deadline, and Adam Silver, the WOT. Okay, let's get into some football talk. We got a lot going on. I guess we can start it off with the NFC AFC championship games. Which one you want to start us off with? AFC?
AFC was first. Why not? So, I don't know what your main takeaway was on this game. But
I fell asleep.
My takeaway on this game was these two teams are just duking it out to finish in, runner up in the Super Bowl. Like, who is going to lose? They're like fighting who's going to lose in the Super Bowl, right? Who can suck more? Because I've heard all this blah, blah, blah about, the weather was so bad. No, you go. If anyone can go find the game.
I mean, to be fair, that weather was nasty.
No, but the field was completely green with 8 minutes left in the third quarter.
No, for sure it was. So it was more fourth quarter was nasty.
For 2.5 quarters of the game, weather was completely fine. And I mean, we saw a master class from Drake May. I mean, I have never seen a quarterback, just play so out of their mind. I mean, he was bouncing it to guys. He was sailing it over. But it was like strategically like, no, we don't want to hit that one. Let's go 3 and out again and punt, Like, there was like some like high-level quarterbacking there. It's like, you don't want to hit every pass. You want to complete all of them. It's really important to obviously make sure that you're prepping for the Super Bowl, put more pressure on your defense. Hey, we're not going to score a lot of points. You guys need to play better. Let's see what you guys do in pressure situations against obviously a juggernaut at quarterback, Jarrett Stidham. But, like, if you would have told me before the game that Jarrett Stidham would have looked like the better quarterback, like, I would have called you a liar. So, yeah, my takeaway in that game was it was pretty boring, pretty bad to watch. They were playing for runner-up in the Super Bowl at the time. That's what I was, like, totally just thinking this whole time. Like, both these teams are trash. I'm like, the Patriots literally, as long as they, with their playoff, soft schedule they've gotten to play, as long as they score 10 points, they win the game, Well, I think the defense has given up on average like 8.9 points per game in the playoffs. So you literally just, you score 10, you get 10 for a strike, you'll get a win. So I don't know. I think some of my feelings towards that are a little bit of frustrations because like I've seen Josh Allen has never lost a playoff game where the team that he played didn't score 30. Where Drake May would have lost twice this year. Yeah, he wouldn't even gotten, he wouldn't even gotten past, he would have gotten past the. Who was it? He wouldn't have got. Well, that's what I'm just saying. I don't know what. He wouldn't have won obviously this game, but right, it's like if Josh Allen had, he turned it over 5 times, but they still scored 30. I'm like Drake May out here essentially has turned it over like 10 times just by dropping back, putting it in the dirt twice, and then sending the punter out there.
I think we're. Second year quarterback. There's obviously going to be some issues.
Yeah, and so that's what I wanted. It's just like getting talked about that it's like, oh my goodness, this dude is like the truth. And I'm like, dude, 10 of 21 for 86 yards and the weather was fine.
Yeah, but I don't think anyone said that in the playoffs. Like everyone's acknowledged that he's been bad in the playoffs. Like, I think it's just he's had an excellent regular season, Drake
led him to the Super Bowl. I'm like, no. Any quarterback, I fully believe
defense did.
I feel like any quarterback, you could have plugged Jacoby Brissett on that team. And they would have gone and won it, right? My whole point
Jacoby Brissett's the GOAT.
Imagine if that was C.J. Stroud that put up a 10 of 21 for 86 yards. People would be clowning him so hard. If it was Brock Purdy, if it was Hurts.
Yeah, the playing like C.J. Stroud memes coming out.
You see the post, and it's like, Drake Mays led him to a Super Bowl. I'm like, he led him to the Super Bowl? Like, I heard last year that, like, the Eagles, like, whoever was at quarterback could have won it. The Eagles' defense gave up, on average, 19.8 points per game. Twice, they were literally the Patriots defense is twice as good.
Yeah, that's what needs to be talked about is the Patriots defense.
Yeah, how insane that. Well, and I think people aren't because I think people aren't as much because it's like, okay, Justin Herbert's looked like that every playoff game. C.J. Stroud has looked bad every single week the last 5 weeks, and then you went up against Jarrett Stidham. So I get all of like why I guess there hasn't been more buzz, but I do think they still deserve more credit than they're getting. Mm-hmm. But I'm just like, I don't know. I just feel like it's a little bit funny how like we pick and choose who we can say like, oh, it's not his fault. Oh, it's the weather. Oh, he didn't have to do too much. What do you mean? It was a 10-7 game. Like, it's not like, oh, they blew him out 30-0, and so he wasn't trying to add points. You know, I just know if it was some other quarterbacks that they'd be getting clowned for it, and then we like, clown Josh Allen for all of his turnovers. But I'm like, Broncos were the number 2 defense, and he hung 30 points on with 5 turnovers. Drake May, I get that obviously it's that same defense, and he didn't even turn. I mean, if the only time they scored a touchdown was when they got gifted the ball on the 10-yard line.
Mm-hmm.
They had to go 10 yards for their only score of the game. So I'm like, I don't know, this narrative of like, I get that you can win games without having to do anything to win that game. And so far, I believe that Drake May has contributed like 0 wins for the playoffs, and the defense has contributed 3. And that you could have plugged in Zach Wilson, they would be in the Super Bowl this year.
I agree for this last game. I don't know about.
What do you mean?
I don't think Zach Wilson's getting him past
Do you know the stats when you play a team when a team turns the ball over 5 times? Teams, if the opposing team turns it over 5 times, you win about 95+%.
Yeah, but Zach Wilson might be out the league next year.
I mean, Zach Wilson won half of his games with the Jets.
Yeah,
so 4 years ago. If he gets in a game with an elite defense and only has to go up and put up hardly any points, you go put up 10 points. Right, he do that all the time.
I agree. I agree. Like, Drake May's not been good. I think we're getting to a level though.
No, I'm just saying. No, he's better than that. I'm just saying. I think all of the I can't think of that many quarterbacks that wouldn't have made it to the Super Bowl.
I think
with the situation that they've had now, they might not have been 14-3 in the regular season, but there are 3 games that they've played in the Super Bowl. I'm pretty sure every single starting quarterback in the NFL, minus Shedeur Sanders, could have taken them to the playoffs or taken them to the Super Bowl.
Shedeur Sanders, shout out to him, Mr. Pro Bowl himself.
Come on, Mr. Pro Bowl.
Come on. My instant takeaway from this game is the biggest winner of this game was Bo Nix.
Yeah. But did you see his reaction after?
Huh?
Did you see what he said after?
I didn't.
So get this, right? I agree with you fully. That was actually one of my takeaways. And then he went on and then kind of what transpired after was so weird to me. So Sean Payton got to the mic and, right, you are totally covered. Hey, we had to play Jarrett Stidham, hasn't played. What an amazing season. We almost won. That was couldn't have gone any better for the Broncos. I've never felt better about a team losing in the playoffs that I'm like, wow, that team, that was a perfect way to lose, Mm-hmm. And then after Sean Payton got on the mic and he was like, yeah, Bo Nix, obviously he's had a lot of surgeries on that ankle, on that foot. And then we were told by doctors that he would need, in high school when he had surgery and then in college when he had surgery, apparently it was a ticking time bomb. And then Bo Nix takes to I can't remember if it was on a podcast or on a phone call with the radio, how they do. And he was like, my coach has no business talking about that stuff. I don't he doesn't know about my injury history, so it's not something he can speak on. And it just made this weird dynamic where it's like, okay, are they
really
cool now? Yeah, you should go look at it. It kind of got swept under the rug, but I'm just like, well, that's not exactly. All you had to do was just not say anything. I don't know why Bo Nix felt the need. I don't know if he's just so frustrated about his injury or why Sean Payton was like, oh yeah, it was a ticking time bomb. He's had so many surgeries and injuries. He had it in high school, had it called. I think Bo took it as a shot that he's like, oh, I'm an injury prone quarterback.
Yeah. And I can kind of see it too from his perspective because he's gotten a lot of criticism this season despite them being this good. And then it's he goes out and beats the Bills and then, what ends up he can't do the thing. He can't go into the Super Bowl. So it's a frustrating injury as it is. So I can see where he's coming from, but that is kind of a crazy way to go about it for sure. Not the professional way for sure.
I thought he still was the biggest winner, and I still think he's a big winner, but it just took it down a notch after I heard that whole coach, and head and quarterback banter where I'm like, wow, I felt really good about the Broncos, and I'm like, wow, they're gonna be back, they're gonna be good, and then all of a sudden it's just what's going on here? Why the head coach It kind of just reminded me of a little like Nick Siri, AJ Brown. Like we're having a little beef. We're not supposed to be
Yeah, but you
talking
don't
about
want that
this.
with your
I'm like,
quarterback.
whoa, this is not. I've experienced it now, and obviously it's not near that. That was
Yeah.
just a joke. But obviously it's just like, well, we're like, whoa, why are you guys like kind of beefing here? Like
Yeah, I did see
season.
that. I need to go
Yeah,
find
go
that.
watch it.
Yeah, that is very interesting. And then obviously, yeah, I already kind of brought it up, but I think the Patriots deserve more credit than they've gotten. That defense has just stepped up immensely.
Yeah.
And it's been impressive to see. What did you think of Will Campbell's game?
I mean,
Because he obviously struggled against the Texans, but
yeah,
it is the Texans D line.
yeah, and I think sometimes, I thought he played better than I thought he was going to, so it was a little bit of a bounce back. And, obviously I think once you kind of like once the snow comes out, so like that last quarter and a half, it's always hard to judge them whether they play well or bad because
Because it's a lot more running.
yeah, it's like, okay, so those guys, it's slippery, so those edge rushers aren't going to come ripping around the corner and like doing their elite bend because they can't, they'll slip out. So it's a
Hmm.
little bit different. You could also argue that the line's footing's not as good, but I thought for like the 2.5 quarters that you could judge based off of like more normal weather conditions, I thought he played okay. I didn't think he had a great game. I don't think he had a bad game, but it was a relatively decent bounce back. But yeah, I think overall he's been a little bit um, I think a lot of people are thinking he's had a better season than he has. I saw somebody was giving him a grade, like a B-, and I'm like, to be
Well,
honest,
I
where
saw
he was
somebody say he was the
drafted,
third best pick in the draft.
I'm actually, I mean, I could go through the whole draft and whatnot, but like to be honest, where he was drafted, it's a little bit, it's a letdown. And I think what's funny is like some of the concerns where people are like, oh, he has short arms, and it's
He
like,
was
oh,
taking what, 4?
yeah, 4, 3, 4, yeah. I mean, it was up there, like it's top five for sure.
Hmm.
And for a top five pick, and I don't think he's the best. I don't even think he was the best tackle in his draft.
Really?
So or I guess maybe no, he might have been the best tackle. I was thinking more offensive lineman. There was a couple good guards in the draft, but it was just kind of a down year. And the good news is the Patriots are in the Super Bowl, so you can't really say it was bad, I guess. But right, if it keeps being a lingering issue, for next season and the season after, then it will probably be like a. But yeah, he's a rookie. Give him credit. He's obviously had to play some tough defensive ends, but yeah, I just think he was drafted because he was the best tackle. He got drafted that high because people want to take offensive linemen so high because it's so important. You're protecting obviously your most valuable asset in the quarterback.
Hmm.
So I don't know what the NBA equivalent to that is. I guess kind of you just take the best player, but it's like it happens a lot of times with quarterbacks, right? Two most valuable positions on offense are your offensive tackle and your quarterback, right? So, a lot of times offensive tackles get drafted too high, quarterbacks get drafted too high. Where positions like safety, positions like center, those ones get overlooked and get drafted later.
What
So
about in the NFC? What did you think of that game?
wow, awesome game. I mean, which we kind of knew because the last time
Yeah, we knew it was
these
gonna
teams
be.
played,
I
like,
mean, every time these two teams face off,
and
it's been a movie.
honestly, I saw a thing where it was like, can we somehow make that the Super Bowl matchup? Can we have these two teams play each other in the Super
Yeah,
Bowl again?
I saw that
Which
too.
because it's just an awesome movie, right? Like, I mean, and this is one, and maybe my biggest takeaway from the weekend is Matthew Stafford is the clear cut MVP. Like those two are not
Yeah,
Matthew
pretty
Stafford and Big
easily.
Ben are not in the same conversation as far as like what they're doing for their teams. I mean, Matthew Stafford, I think it's the first ever quarterback to throw for against the same team. It's like, or yeah, when you play the same team twice in the same season, which happens a lot, but in back-to-back games against the same team in the same season, he's like the only quarterback to throw for over like 600 yards, 7 touchdowns, like no picks, and to lose both games. Like the man is literally, I honestly think he may have played the perfect game and lost.
Well, both quarterbacks had better stats in the first half than the both quarterbacks had the
Yeah.
entire game in the
And
AFC.
Sam Darnold played unbelievable,
Unreal.
right? Like Sam Darnold, that was an unbelievable performance. The Rams defense, it's good, but what he put up against that was amazing. But what's crazy is that performance from Stafford. I honestly think I have never felt worse for a team I didn't care about. No, I take that back. for a player I didn't really care about than two people on the Rams. My heart hurt for Matthew Stafford and Devontae Adams. Obviously, Devontae Adams is now 0-5 in NFC Championship games. Never been
Yeah.
to the Super Bowl. He's been to the doorstep 5 times. You're like, surely you can win one of those to get to the Super
At
Bowl.
least one.
But I think that one. So I mean, his locker room when they were interviewing him, I'm like, dude, I can't watch this. Like this hurts, And then Matthew Stafford, I'm like, dude, like at least he's won one. But I'm like, this dude literally played perfect. It's like
He's
I
such a
felt like
dope dude too.
I know, and I'm like, dude, that was an unreal performance. I mean, just dropping dimes. Like, if you go look, I want you to go. I bet if somebody made a highlight clip and they said, hey, top 10 throws of the postseason, I'll bet you 6 of them were from that game of Stafford's. 3 of them would probably be from Stafford the week prior. And then, maybe you mix in one from another quarterback, but maybe a Sam Darnold from this last game. But like, he was I mean, those throws are ridiculous. Like, absolutely absurd what he was doing out
Absolute
there.
dimes.
And I don't like the Rams. And I don't really, I mean, like, yeah, Matthew Stafford, I think he had an unbelievable
Yeah,
year.
I mean
Was
they're
their
kind of a
MVP.
rival for you. I feel like you guys,
Yeah. But,
you
and I was
you and the
like, dude,
Rams or the Eagles and the Rams, they're always,
yeah,
it's a close
they,
game.
yeah, they butted heads the last couple of years. And so, but yeah, I'm like, dude, that is just, I mean, brutal. But I think it shows you how complete the Seahawks team that when the defense has a bad game, the offense picks them up. When the offense has a bad and when the defense is a bad offense has a bad night, the defense picks them up. But the funny thing is the defense had a bad night and the offense had an amazing night, and that wasn't going to win it. The big difference was that muffed punt is the reason.
I
And
was so pissed.
the funny thing is the Rams special teams has been bad all year. Right? They've had issues on punt return, they've had issues on kickoff, they've had issue on the field goal kicking, right? Where they lost to the Eagles because the Eagles blocked an extra point and blocked that field goal and returned it for a touchdown. So they've had issues on special teams all year. So people that like one thing that Bill Belichick always preached is we have to have the best special teams. We will not lose games because of special teams because there's so many games that are lost by special teams and there's so many games that are won by special teams. And this was one of those where we've seen the Seahawks, in my opinion, not that they've won 2 games in a row, but it's like every week they make a huge special teams play. When they beat the Rams last time, why'd they win? Rashid Shaheed returned the punt for a touchdown. It was
Special
30 to
teams, dude.
30 to
That is the
14 with
Rams'
8 minutes left.
nightmare.
And the Seahawks return a punt. So that was bad on the Rams, amazing on the Seahawks. That's a big difference. In this game, muffed punt, right? Good on the Seahawks for being there to pick the ball up, right? It's a good play by them. Bad play by the Rams, right? Last, against the Niners, Seahawks return a punt or return the opening kickoff for a touchdown. Didn't even need to score after that. Like every week, the Seahawks are proving that hey, we are the best team because our offense picks up our defense picks up our offense when they play bad, and every single week our special team shows up and doesn't make mistakes. Whereas the Rams were like, offense is unbelievable. It's amazing. It's the best offense in football. It's why they're the Super Bowl favorites from like week 10 and on. Oh, the special teams. That's why football is a complete team game because you can watch it and be like, Matthew Stafford's the most amazing quarterback I've seen this year. They're unbelievable. How do they not win it? And the defense is letting them down, and the special teams lets them down, right? Where you go look over and you look at the Patriots that got there, and you're like, well, right? You're like, they got there playing a team game where the defense showed out every week, So it's just funny. Not all else is equal, But
What was crazy to me, and maybe this is like me just, hindsight, but because Xavier Smith muffled a punt before, but he ended up recovering it.
mm-hmm.
To me, in a high pressure game like this, you muffle a punt. I don't care if you lose the ball or not, you're done.
Yeah, which totally fair. And I guess it would just take you being in that Rams room. Who is the next guy up normally? Because a lot of
Yeah.
times what happens is teams have, in practice, they'll have, 3 guys that are returning punts, whether they're receivers or corners or whatever their role is on the team, running backs. But a lot of times it's typically backup guys because you don't really necessarily, you don't have to
Right.
elevate 2 guys that are punt returners. So it might be practice squad guys or guys that, because the teams, I think you have a 53-man roster, but you can only activate, I believe, 47 for game day. So some of those become the healthy scratches, as they call them. And so then they can't just come into the game. And so maybe they were evaluating, like, look, we've had Kyron Williams do it a few times, but
I
like
was
he's
gonna
our
say,
starting.
dude, even like Blake Corum, I'd
Yeah,
rather
but
have
you
in.
just wonder how many they do, right? Like maybe Blake Corum never even caught a punt because they brought in Kyron Williams, I'm pretty sure, after the muffed punt that they lost.
Yeah, they
Um,
did.
but Kyron's a starting running back. Like you
Hmm.
probably don't have him taking a lot,
What
and
about like Tutu
you
Atwell
don't
or something though?
you don't want Kyron to get hurt. Yeah, so it just depends. Like, but if the Rams haven't had him catch any punts, like that's a hard thing to do. Those dudes are blasting it so high up in the air, and it's in Seattle. Maybe it's a little bit windy, right? And you're like, dude, like, whoa, I would rather have the guy. I know he just muffed one, but like, we don't have a guy that practiced, or like that's gotten that much practice catching punts. And our next guy up technically is Kyron Williams, and we don't want our starting running back in that situation to get hurt, to get banged up, and be in a situation he's not used to. So I think that's why after that one that he muffed but recovered, they're like, okay, look, yeah, hey, now he's gonna be locked in. He's got it. We're not gonna go put somebody else out there. And then once he actually lost one, they're like, okay, well, literally, if he does it again, I'm literally gonna get canned. So they're like, I have to bring in
I
Kyron.
think,
So I
like
think
when I
it's
think
something.
about Tutu Atwell, he's not a guy that he's had a lot of explosive plays, right? But he's not
Mhm.
a guy that's featured in the offense a lot. Like if he's not getting reps as a punt returner or a kick returner, like that's a system
Yeah.
issue.
And that's why I think they have a bad special teams. Like I think they had this whole special teams failure where it was they couldn't block field goals, they had blocked. I mean, it was
Couldn't get
just
tackles.
overall like I just don't think that they were running this proper special teams. I don't know who the coach is. He's probably been fired, but it's just like nobody thinks about how important special teams is. But I mean, it makes a huge difference. Like if you go look at like where these teams had to start with the ball, right? The teams that were good at the new squib kickoff, right, versus the teams that were bad at it, and you could even see how good the Seahawks were at special teams because they went and traded for Raheed Shaheed. The Rams were booting it out of the back of the end zone and giving it to him on the 35-yard line. If you would have told somebody that years ago, they would have been unbelievably shocked. They're willing to give it to him on the 35-yard line. Like that shows you, oh, Seahawks good special teams. Oh, Rams they don't feel confident in how they cover. They don't feel that their kicker can do a effective squib kick or whatever. Kind of like the one that they do,
Mhm.
the dirty kick. I think they've been calling it the announcers, which could be part the Rams and also part because Raheed Shaheed was probably the best.
I think that is a big reason for it,
I think
and
both
a little bit
both
of a reason why I sprinkled a little bit on Rashid Shaheed, little
totally
Super Bowl
yes yeah. It's
MVP.
definitely a two-parter there, but most teams weren't doing that to Shaheed, right? Most
Hmm.
teams were just
Yeah,
doing that
no,
dirty
for
kick,
sure.
right? So and maybe they saw what happened last week, but it's like I still think special teams. The reason the Rams didn't win was because of special teams, and that was their doing, and also because the Seahawks have a better special teams. It shows you how important it is, and so many people overlook it. They overlook those small, tiny signings. Patriots, pretty good special teams as well. I can't remember his name, but there's like this white dude, number 53, with like long hair, like always making these plays. I'm like, I don't even know who this dude is. He never even plays, but like that dude makes a huge impact on this game because
Just
now
for
that
what he
team has
does
to
on
go get an
special
extra
teams.
first down because they're having to start with the ball inside their own 25,
Hmm.
versus other teams that are giving up after the 35. Like that's a whole extra first down that now the defense has. They get an extra 10 yards to make it so this team doesn't score, has to get a field goal, or is out of field goal range. Like it's huge. And I think the average football fan, like the casual, doesn't understand how big special teams are. Um, and yeah, it ended up costing him. The other thing is clock management. I'm not saying there's any issues there, but like how clutch of it was the Seahawks that final drive, how much time they churned off in the play calling,
Yeah, that was
right? To give
huge.
Sam Darnold like obviously throws that were open, but Sam Darnold to make the correct reads and throw them there. And the play calling was awesome on that last drive because we all know that if they wouldn't have gotten, I think they got like 2 or 3 first downs on that last drive to like pretty much run almost all the clock out. If they would have got one less first down, I'm pretty sure the Rams would have won that game. Like, like
I
the
think
way
so
that
too.
offense
They
was
would have
playing.
had more time.
Yeah, and they would have at least gotten in. I don't know, had a better chance. Like,
And we're
instead
talking a
of
lot about special teams, but the Rams defense was horrible. Mistakes left and right as well.
yeah, no, that's fair.
And so that's another issue
Definitely
too.
fair.
But, you know, um great
But
game overall. I think got to get down to the nitty gritty.
Yeah, and shout out to the Seahawks. What I think I love about this year, or what's kind of almost this new NFL that we're turning a leaf to, is it's not necessarily like it used. I think we had this run of you need a superstar quarterback to win the Super Bowl with one blip in Nick Foles, who during that playoffs played like a superstar quarterback, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because they kind of, they technically somewhat had one during the year, But now we've almost turned a new leaf, I feel like, right? Because we had all those Patrick Mahomes Super Bowls, all those Tom Brady Super Bowls, right? Matt Stafford won one, Joe Burrow was in one, it was all superstar quarterbacks. And now we've turned a new leaf, almost maybe back to it, but also like just this new one where it's like, it's the most complete teams, right? Like Jalen Hurts wasn't the best quarterback in the league when they won the Super Bowl, right? Wherever you put him, like most people aren't going to put him in their top 5, right? So it was
Right.
a best team that won overall, special teams, defense, offense, running the ball, offensive line, defensive line, everything. The Seahawks are that same thing. Sam Darnold led the league in turnovers. Like nobody's saying Sam Darnold's in my top 5 quarterbacks. A lot of people probably don't have him in the top 10, but
Hell
he led
no.
the league in turnovers, right? He
I'll
threw
tell you what
16
though.
picks.
I'll tell you what though, Chase.
He balled
You know
out.
who's regretting Sam Darnold?
No, don't do that.
Shout out the boys in Minnesota.
No,
I don't even know
no,
what
don't do
Minnesota
that to him.
fans are thinking.
No,
They said we want 9.
no, don't do that to him. Don't do
We
that to him.
want 9.
And you know what? There could potentially be more fallout. Like I've started Justin Jefferson. I can't remember what the sound
Yeah, you
was,
see what he was saying?
yeah, but he literally was like, he wants like a new quarterback, or he said we would have been better with a different quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Like, could you imagine now they lose Justin Jefferson because he gets disgruntled and like forces them to do a trade?
Well, see, and I thought that comment was funny because obviously, right? Like that doesn't need to be said,
No,
right? Obviously,
everyone already knows
if
that.
you had 31 different, you could even say maybe 40 different quarterbacks in the league, your season could have gone
50.
different.
50.
But the fact that he came out and said it, right? It
Yeah.
wasn't the political response.
Yeah, he said it because he wants people, because people know that obviously, like you said, we all know the situation, but nobody knew how disgruntled Justin Jefferson is. They all assumed,
He's a
but
quiet
now
guy.
they know, right? Where he was like, yeah, dude, he is not happy. And so I wonder if that ends up materializing to anything. But yeah, dude, Minnesota fans, I mean, that's brutal. Like Sam Darnold, obviously, you're like, oh, and we didn't even have to pay him that much. Like
Hey,
it wasn't he was asking for Brock, for like, a lot of these quarterbacks that, maybe teams were a little bit more hesitant to pay, like Tua asking for over 50, Brock asking over 50. And I know some people were like, okay, are they worth that? Like, I'm pretty sure he's getting 35 or 40, which I'm like, dude, I mean, so many people are signing that and making
yeah.
sure that he stays.
Oh,
He
yeah.
won you 14 games. And I get he didn't have the best playoffs, but man, they are kicking themselves right now because it was significantly worse
But
this
even
year.
I was looking at the playoffs last year because I mean, I've obviously been someone that's been critical of Sam Darnold. You need to show me this year, yada yada yada. A lot of last year was bad plays. It was horrible offensive line. I mean, he got sacked all game long, under pressure all game long. So like, you look back in hindsight, and a lot of it wasn't necessarily on Sam Darnold. It just came off that way.
So what also bothers me though is I know Sam Darnold was a higher pick, but we saw what he was with the Jets. We saw what he did with the Panthers. He was in two terrible situations. And so people put Sam Darnold into this box where they're like, oh, he had a bad playoff game, whatever, his first ever playoff game. Okay, he now sucks. Right? But then to other quarterbacks that, we give more grace to because of where they were drafted or the situation that they got put into that was automatically better. And then they have a bad game and we're like, oh no, it's okay. That's not you. Like it's just funny how we do it. Like, and, I think of obviously like, Justin Herbert, and I get, his situation's not perfect, but I know if Sam Darnold was on that Chargers team and he went and played how Justin Herbert did, cooked. If Brock Purdy had the stat line of Drake May in the NFC Championship game, I bet you on the TV that they're talking about should the Niners start Mac Jones in the playoffs, right? There would be this stuff. There's just a different narrative around some of them, and I think that's what's funny is we're seeing is that came to just bite the Minnesota Vikings in the ass to the point where they're like, "Ooh, this is not good," and they just didn't realize that quarterbacks can develop, they can change, and it's not uncommon they have bad games, right? If you watch
What's
Patrick
so
Mahomes,
crazy though is he led them to 14-3.
yeah,
This was a Vikings team, mind you, last year that were their over under was 6.5,
yeah.
and they went
Hey,
14-3.
so I'm gonna give you I know you probably don't know this because most people don't, and this is way before your time and even my time. But John Elway in may have been the worst Super Bowl quarterback of all time. I looked it up. He was played in 5 Super Bowls. He lost his first 3 Super Bowls. The 2 Super Bowls he won
Most
were against.
overrated quarterback of all time, in my opinion.
Definitely could be, for sure. I'm not going to hate on that argument, but he won his last 2 Super Bowls in his very final 2 seasons. John Elway in Super Bowls threw 3 touchdowns in 5 Super Bowls, 8 interceptions, and had a passer rating of 59. Right.
Yeah,
So,
that's
like,
bad.
imagine if they saw how he performed in some of those first couple Super Bowls, and they're like, "Dude, he sucks. Let's get rid of him." They potentially could have, because obviously,
Stuck it out though.
I'm totally fine with people saying John Elway is overrated. I actually like it, but I will say, obviously, he's better than the average quarterback,
I
and
think
they
he's
probably were.
overrated in the sense of what a lot of lists
Yeah,
have him
where people
over.
are saying, top 5, top,
Mm-hmm.
I totally agree with that. But obviously, I don't think they would have won those 2 Super Bowls without him. I do think a big reason they won it was obviously um, because of Terrell Davis, their running back that
Yeah.
had unbelievable seasons. But I do think they wouldn't have won it in totality without him. But they chose to stick with him because they didn't just be like, "Oh, you won us 14 games in the regular season, but then and you played like crap in the Super Bowl 2 times. We're done with you. We're moving off you." They're like, "Look, people can have bad games in the Super Bowl. They can develop." Given he ended up, I think his last Super Bowl was like a really good one. He threw for like 370 yards and like a touchdown, but they obviously ran it really well and they blew whoever out. But I just think it's funny how, like, you won 14 games in an unbelievably tough division with the Packers, with the juggernaut of the Lions team. You still found a way to win 14. You're like, nah, nah. You know,
The biggest issue in honest like sports for sure, but honestly everything is the need, that instant gratification need, right?
oh,
And what's the biggest reason for it? It's media, right? I think, you see it in politics, you see it in real world issues. And I'm obviously not sitting in a front office, but I think obviously a lot of what's being said on the media, you have all these analysts. You go watch a sports show, they're all negative, right? You'll get some praise here and there, but 70%, 60% of the time it's negative. And I think these front offices see that and they almost like panic, right? It's like you said, like everything on Sam Darnold last year was so negative after they
uh-huh.
lost. It wasn't, oh, he just led this team that was projected to get less than 7 wins to 14-3 and a playoff appearance,
And they
right?
tried to
That
get like,
wasn't the conversation.
no,
And
couldn't
so I
agree
think that's
more.
what hurts this
Yeah,
these days.
I think that's a huge reason, probably the biggest reason. I think another reason now is there's so much money on the line. Like, these teams, these owners are making hundreds of millions of dollars. And
John
I think,
Elway was making what punters make now.
yeah, exactly. So they're making hundreds of millions of dollars, these teams. And who you have at quarterback is a huge needle mover of that. And maybe he felt like some from the fans that they're like, no, we can do better. Like, let's see what we drafted this 9 guy. And I think they made a mistake drafting him. And so, like, oh, we kind of have to see him, and they made the mistake of letting that guy walk, right? So it'd be like almost if the Niners, like, they saw what Brock Purdy was and they're like, well, I mean, we got to keep Trey Lance, we got to at least see what he
Yeah.
is. And then they're like, okay, they force him in, they let Brock Purdy walk. But I think that's a big part. And then I think the final part about it is, what was my point? I don't remember what I was going to say. The teams and the money that they're making. Oh, and then I think what we've seen with quarterbacks, either just being in the wrong situation and then, their whole career not working out, and then just boom, it changes. And then all of a sudden they're better. Like, so it's like Tom Brady's not working, like the people didn't like what he did his last, 2 seasons with the Patriots or whatever. They're still
Hmm.
really good. And they're like, boom, goes to the Bucks, immediately win a Super Bowl. You're like, ooh, yeesh. You see the Stafford go from the Lions' career of just trash, can't win games. I mean, he obviously was playing pretty well. But first season with the Rams, win a Super Bowl. You're like, ooh, you know? And it's like, okay, if we have the
It's
wrong guy,
happening
it
again.
could potentially just plague us forever and ever.
Hmm.
Where I almost like think like sometimes just getting a refresh. Now, this wasn't the situation for them, and I don't think they should have.
Right.
But sometimes they think they're like, no, he was a stepping stone. Like, thank you, Sam Darnold. You made us super elite. We drafted our future. We really believe in him. And, this was just an amazing team, amazing coach, amazing defense, whatever. And then they just didn't give Sam Darnold his flowers, which he definitely deserved a lot of the flowers for. And kind of sad that they saw him walk. So I guess kind of where it segues us to, Connor, who do you think's going to win the Super Bowl, and who are you rooting for? Are you rooting for the Sam Darnold story and the Seahawks getting revenge on the Patriots for um, obviously Pete Carroll throwing the ball when has a timeout, 40 seconds left, interception against the Patriots? Are you there for the Sam Darnold and the revenge game, or are you for the MVP potential Patriots renewing the dynasty? Which one are you for?
So, first off, Seahawks coming in a huge spread. One that is very unenticing for the casual fan at 4.5. And so, initially, as far as who I think's gonna win goes, we all think it, right? Seahawks. It looks like Seahawks will blow them out, but then, apparently this is a must-win game for the Patriots. So, I don't know if you saw the interviews with Drake May, huh?
Or no, maybe something different.
You see the interview with Drake May, Mike Vrabel?
I mean, I've seen clips from it. I don't know what you're exactly referring.
Where they ask him if it's a must-win game.
Oh, I thought you were referring to the one when you said must-win, when they asked Cooper Kupp, because they do this every year, by the way. They ask him every year, and then it's always a funny because the quarterback goes, "What?" And but I saw they asked Cooper Kupp, "Is this a must-win game or a can't-lose game?"
I saw that one. No, I just think it's crazy that so he goes and it's like you said, right? Every year they do it. And so he says it to Drake May, and Drake May laughs. He's like, well, you tell me, bro. And he's like, it is a must win. He's like, there you go, that's my answer, right? But then they also asked Mike Vrabel after, and I'm like,
yeah.
So that's what was funny to me.
They do it because it gets tons of media attention.
It gets the views,
tons of buzz.
That's fair.
And tons of views. So they ask him every year, right? I remember when they've asked it. But the funny thing is, and I think what obviously I don't think everybody realizes, is this is the first time, like, you go to like normal interviews and press conferences, it's pretty much just mainly sports media that's covering it. The Super Bowl is covered by every single media outlet. So there's so many different, ones that they're just trying, it might be a clickbait one where it's like, hey, we ask them, is it a must win, or they ask these stuff because it's all these people that, like, their audience isn't sports people, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so they're just going to, oh, okay, we want to get just clicks, right? We want to say something funny, right? So there's just so much more media there that there's, a bunch of people that normally aren't there. But yeah, the must-win question's always funny. And then the Bussin' Boys were asking, is it a must-win Cooper Kupp or a can't lose?
Yeah.
And he said must win because it's more positive. No, we must win.
Shout out Cooper Kupp. Shout out Cooper Kupp.
Funny. Media Day is awesome.
I mean, you probably know where I'm going with this. I mean, I hear the name Seahawks, and I hate the Seahawks. They get my blood boiling. I do like Sam Darnold. I like his story. I'm a fan of JSN. But I'm a big Drake May fan. I'm tired of your hate on Drake May. I'm tired of Drake May criticism, which he's earned, right? Don't get me wrong. He deserves the criticism he's gotten. But I want Drake May to come out and sling that ball. I want to see what regular season Drake May was doing. I want to see some, screw Stephon Diggs, but I want to see, maybe him do something cool. I want to see Hunter Henry ball out. I want to see Travion Henderson live up to the hype he got preseason. And I don't, I'm not a fan of the Patriots by any means. I'm a big Mike Vrabel guy. I thought he was unrightfully canned out of Tennessee, and so I love to see him just right here, just succeeding 2 years later. Or I guess technically a year, because he took a year off, but I guess now 2 years later, right? So I love to see it. I'm rooting for the Patriots. What I'm gonna put my hard-earned cash on, though, Chase, I'm probably taking Seahawks minus 4.5.
Wow, that was that's something else. I feel like, and maybe I almost feel like you have a different opinion. Well, so let's take this with a grain of salt. What Connor says here, because you can see the jerseys and the helmet behind him. Because I'm pretty sure
Hoorah.
all of America outside of the NFC West is rooting for the Seahawks, right? I
And
think,
rightfully so. No one likes
yeah,
the Patriots.
totally. And if you look in the AFC, the last 10 Super Bowls have been represented by 3 teams, and 9 of those have been by 2, the Chiefs and the Patriots, right? With one Bengals year where they got to the Super Bowl. So I think people are like, well, we want to see new, fresh teams. I think the NFC's been represented by like 7 or 6 or something. So it's
Mhm.
been a little bit more fun on the NFC side of things. So I think all of America outside the NFC West, totally justified by NFC West fans, right? They are rooting, you know, against obviously the Seahawks, right? I think it is more so you're rooting against the Seahawks than for the Patriots. Which I totally get, would do the same if I was a Cardinals fan, Niners fan, Rams fan. Um, and so that being said, whenever I'm trying to figure out who I'm rooting for when I don't care too much, right? Like Seahawks, I know they're in the NFC, but like the Eagles Seahawks isn't a rivalry. And the AFC, you usually don't have rivals with the opposite team.
Yeah.
So I don't really like, neither one's gonna like affect me too much. What I'm rooting for is, I think the NFL, whenever you're in doubt about who to bet on, little, a little bit of a piece of advice is always bet with the better storyline if you have nothing to do. Because if you believe it's a little bit rigged, which one would the NFL want to win? Which one are they going to try to have hoist the trophy? So your stories here are Drake May, he's in his second year. Mike Vrabel, they're going to be good for a while. Like, they're going to be back here, totally have an opportunity, right? It's like, it's really soon. Drake May winning in his second year, Mike Vrabel getting it done. Like, okay, like, okay story, but like nothing that's like, wow, you know? Or the story of the guy that was high draft pick, went to the Jets, was scout team on the Panthers, rushing the quarterback as on a scout team, was seeing ghosts, never going to get another chance again in the NFL, gets another chance, wins 14 games, and they say, "Get out of here. We don't want you. You're such a loser. You see ghosts in the playoffs." Goes to the Seahawks, wins 14 games in a row, wins 14 games again, number 1 seed, makes it to the Super Bowl. Who's the Super Bowl against? Do you remember that team that you guys had that heartbreaking loss where you guys made the dumb decision to throw the ball? You guys get revenge on that team, and I guarantee you they're going to have an opportunity to hand that ball off at some point in the game from the 1 yard line instead of throwing it. There's no way they're throwing that John unless it's fourth and goal. But that story, and then you're like, let's go another layer deep. Where is the Super Bowl? In Santa Clara. The Niners Stadium, they had to put up a big old Sam Darnold poster.
That would be electric.
Guess where Sam Darnold kind of got his revive? When he played with Kyle Shanahan for the Niners in that system. You're like, whoa, man. Movie. Where the other one, if they win, you're like, yeah, it's cool. Great job, Drake. Awesome to win in your second year. Mike Vrabel, awesome. You got it done after being with the Titans and they got rid of you. But man, that story doesn't touch the Darnold
No,
story.
definitely not.
So,
No.
Seahawks winning it. Seahawks minus 4.5. Take the alternate line. Seahawks minus 6.5. Seahawks minus 9.5. Seahawks minus 13.5. Sprinkle Seahawks minus 20.5.
You're just having America root for a blowout.
No, I don't want the root.
It probably is going to be belt to ass. I'm taking Seahawks minus 4.5.
I actually don't think the NFL will. I think the NFL, if they wanted
No, they
something,
don't want it to be, but that's not something they
They
control.
would want the Seahawks to win, but they do not want a repeat of what happened last year, because last year was somewhat fun because it was like, I know a lot of people hate the Eagles, but I think most people at
It was
that
fun
time
for us.
especially hated the Chiefs more, right? So I think a lot of people really enjoyed seeing that happen to the Chiefs.
Yeah.
But people don't hate the Patriots like that, right? People just probably don't want to see the
I don't
Chiefs
know,
start
dude.
again.
Like they maybe don't because it's been a few years, but like
with
Patriots when the Patriots were on their shit, they were like hated as much as Kansas City.
No, oh no, for sure. But I think a lot of that is associated with like Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, and like
Yeah.
people are just getting tired of this. Or at least this is completely different coach, completely different. Like there's nobody
No,
from
that's
that
fair.
team that's still playing.
And that's
So
kind of where my
I agree
mindset's
with
at
you.
too.
But like the hatred towards this current Patriots team and that Chiefs team last year, I mean, they're not even close in comparison. So I think I do agree with you that I think a lot of people wouldn't mind seeing it, but I think most people are hoping for a good game and would love to see a Seahawks Rams NFC Championship game, something similar to that in the Super Bowl. And then the Seahawks come on top. The dynasty doesn't restart. Sam Darnold has an awesome story. Ooh, great! Like I think
Yeah,
that's kind of what NFL, what
hopefully the Super
fans
Bowl's
are looking for.
electric. I might be watching it from a hospital room. Hopefully not. But
I hope so. I'm rooting
luckily
for
you
it.
got
Please,
yours out of the way, so you can just
please,
peacefully coddle the child and watch it on the
please.
couch.
Oh, that would be
But
awesome.
hey,
I'm
real quick.
honestly, please.
No. Why would you even wish that on me?
I'm gonna
That's
go
so
tell your
cruel.
wife to do curb walking, to
Yeah, no.
drink whatever leaf tea or
Listen,
whatever it
we
is.
forgot to talk about it. There's been some head coaching changes. It was what, 10, I believe, open spots for head coach have been filled. You know, obviously media is freaking out because every single coach hired was white, head coach. So media is not happy about it, but you know, the one that is surprising, there's two surprising that for me that didn't get hired on as head coaches. Brian Flores. I'm not huge on Brian Flores personally, but he was a name thrown out there. And then Vance Joseph, someone I'm high on. I'm surprised he didn't get hired on. I thought Cardinals maybe would have gone after it, but we got the guy. You know, I
Yeah,
wanted Clint Kubiak, but I was all right with Mike LaFleur as
yeah.
well. I'm excited for the energy he brings. He's young. Um, he's the brother of a great head coach. He's been coaching with a great head coach in Sean McVay. He's going to be calling the shots on the offense. So I'm kind of excited for that. I'm excited to see what our offense looks like next year. I'm really excited. But as an outside um, fan, I guess, of the game, you know, not a Cardinals fan, what's your take on it, on the hiring?
I actually thought it was the best option available for the Cardinals at the time, and I think it was even if they were the
Outside of
first one.
Kubiak, right?
Yeah, outside of Kubiak, which he said he wouldn't go there, right?
Yeah,
So
he
of
said he
their
was.
options available, it was their best option. And even if you would have told me that they made that hiring before all the coordinators had even like pretty much been, all the head coaches had been filled, sorry, I would have still said that that was a good hire. I wouldn't
Mhm.
have said it was the best hire,
Yeah, no, I
but it's a
agree.
good hire. It almost kind of is like how I feel about like the Eagles OC job. I'm like, that's a good
Would
hire. It was the best guy available. But yeah, obviously there's better out there, but those weren't options to the Eagles for whatever reason. So I liked it a lot. And the one thing I was going to say about Brian Flores and Vance Joseph, I think the issue is I think sometimes when you're move later into the playoffs, it's harder to get head coaching jobs, for like Vance Joseph. Second thing is Cardinals. We're not going to go defensive coordinator again, and the Raiders are getting a number one overall pick. And it's going to be a quarterback.
I think your phone's ringing.
They need an offensive coordinator. It's not.
Oh,
Well,
what the
maybe it
heck?
was. Maybe it was though. But anyways, so what I was going to say about that is, can you hear me now? Is it fine?
Yeah, sorry, it's just
So
vibrating.
yeah, it must. It probably just stopped once I looked at it. But that the right. So both those teams need to go offensive coordinator. So they're not going to go Vance Joseph. And the reason I think Brian Flores was unbelievable and been good, and he's an amazing defensive coordinator, is the last time he was head coach, it was complete drama, and he sued the
Yeah, it did
NFL.
not go good at
He
all.
sued the NFL. Who owns the NFL? It's 32 owners that own the NFL. So I bet he's
Yeah.
probably, you sue somebody and then want to get that job. Like for anybody that's looking for a job, I'm going to recommend, if you want to work in a position of power at that company, it is not wise to sue them and then hope to get a job. So I totally agree. Like, and Brian Flores, he had that whole issue where like, he essentially like crapped on Tua, which probably could have been valid. But then Tua
Mhm.
ended up leading the league in passing yards, and they looked a lot better with Mike McDaniel. So there's just a bunch where they're like, look, he's not good with quarterbacks, young quarterbacks, and there's not that many superstars. So unless you get Brian Flores, a superstar quarterback, he's probably going to make your quarterback play worse than he is, which Tua did. Tua's played better, not that he's good, you know. And then, and then obviously the suing thing. So I get why those two weren't hired. I think Vance Joseph will have a chance, but I think the issue is a lot of these teams, especially, they're looking more for offensive minded guys. Now there's a few defensive guys hired, but most times the success we've seen has been a lot of offensive minded people.
Mhm.
I guess the Seahawks this year and Mike Vrabel are both no, Mike Vrabel's a defensive guy. So they have two defensive minded head coaches, which is kind of refreshing this year. And maybe we'll see that dominoes effect in the next couple of years that these defensive minded coaches took these guys um, took these teams to the Super Bowl. But yeah, I mean, definitely interesting. But yeah, just an interesting cycle. My least favorite hire was probably the Browns, Todd Monken, but I don't know what
Todd
you think of
Monken.
that.
You know what's
I
crazy
don't.
is I saw a grade review of all the head coaching hirings, and they had Todd Monken over higher than Mike LaFleur. I thought
Yeah,
it was absurd.
I don't know what they're trying to. What? Yeah, I don't really agree with that. And obviously, people are always just going to say stuff to say stuff, right? Like I
Mhm.
saw. Um, but I think um, Todd Monken. I mean, I don't think the Browns had a lot of like interest, and so do I think it was a bad one? No. Do I think they had a lot of options? Yeah, that's probably why they weren't able to go get like a super valuable candidate.
Well, Jim
Um,
Schwartz walked out because of it.
yeah,
So,
that's what
they
obviously
lost a
made it
great
worse as well.
DC.
Yeah, he's an awesome DC. Fun fact, he was the DC for the Eagles Super Bowl winning defense. That was number one that year in 2017 when they won it all. So, little fun
There you
fact for
go.
you.
And now he's, in the open market. So, I'd love for him to come over here. He probably won't. But I know we talked about it a little earlier. Our show failed last week, so that's why we didn't get one out. But, I've kind of sat down and looked at, the path for the Cardinals to maybe, hopefully, make a run for the playoffs next year. It's going to be hard because we're in one of the toughest divisions, but maybe we can sneak out a couple of wins in our division. First of all, we need to see what I'm hoping now that we have Mike LaFleur that he can bring something out of Marvin Harrison, set him up to be in winning situations to grow as a receiver. Okay. Michael Wilson, Trey McBride, that's our receiving core. I love it. Okay. Then we have James Conner. We have Trey Benson coming back. Perfect. Kyler Murray's out the door. I mean, they're already talking about it. Like, we got to find who our quarterback is. There's a fan going on or something.
Well, I think it's my skip down.
Oh, did it? Okay. Um, Kyler Murray's gone. So here's what I'm thinking. I want to hear your thoughts on this. Ty Simpson's projected to go in the second round. We use our second round pick, Ty Simpson. We sign a quarterback in free agency, right? Whether it's Malik Willis, whether it's Kirk Cousins, right? Whoever it may be. Have them battle it out, and odds are they go with whoever they sign as a starting quarterback. Let Ty Simpson develop underneath, kind of like a Tom Brady as little, Pat Mahomes esque. Give it a year or so, and then try and see if we can get a breakout, or we just suck again, and then we try and get a better quarterback in next year's draft. I think we could sign a couple guys in free agency, improve the defense a little bit. I'd love to draft some more corners. I'd love to draft a safety because Buda's kind of getting older, and I don't know what we're doing with Jalen Thompson. He's got a big contract, but that's kind of my thoughts. What are your thoughts on that?
I'd say my thoughts are I like a lot of what you said. I think if the defense is healthier, it's naturally going to be better, and they got a lot of young talent. I think they got decent wide receiver core because you have arguably the best tight end in football or the best receiving tight end in
Yeah, and
football.
he's what makes the receiving core really.
Totally. And Michael Wilson, I'm assuming that you're hoping he's coming back. Marvin Harrison,
Mhm.
like that's good. That's solid. What I want them to do, and based off what I see in this quarterback class, I don't mind them taking a quarterback in the fifth, sixth, or seventh round. but I still think there's some more holes in this team that taking a quarterback even in the second round like Ty Simpson, who you're like, let's sit for your hope he develops, like it's too high to do that for a team with a bunch of holes. A team that doesn't have a bunch of holes, and if you were like the only team, like if I'm the Cardinals, I'm spending first, second, third round. I'm I'm going offensive line,
And then
offensive
defense.
line, defensive line. That's what I'm doing. Like these championship teams, you go look at like the Patriots and the Seahawks defensive line. They're both monstrous. Not that they drafted them, right? But they both have played really, really well,
Hmm.
especially down the stretch. Like that's what they're winning. The Seahawks, awesome offensive line. The Broncos that got very far, awesome offensive line. The Eagles last year, awesome offensive line. Like if I'm them, I'm going offensive line, defensive line, defensive line, offensive line, offensive line. Something those the first 3 rounds, and I'm drafting a quarterback late, and then I'm going and signing a veteran quarterback that either was in a bad situation that you think could potentially be good. Right? We've seen what Sam Darnold has has done. We've seen. I know they haven't won it all, but they've been competitive. What we've seen Baker Mayfield do, or some of these quarterbacks that maybe people just gave up too early.
Off top of
You know,
mind, what's a
so
available quarterback you're thinking of?
there's a few. I'm thinking quarterbacks that haven't quite got their opportunity yet that
You're
could
saying
be
for a
good.
trade or in the market?
I don't know. I wouldn't know for sure if they're free agents, but they're relatively easy to trade for to the point where you can trade probably like two fourth rounders for or something. A fourth rounder this year, a fourth rounder next year. Where
Mhm.
or if they're not free agents, like I'm thinking Davis Mills on the Texans, right? I mean I think he could be
You think Davis Mills is
good.
worth 2 4th rounders?
I think, yeah, or he might even be a free agent. You might just be able to pay him more than anybody else, right? Or I'm thinking of, um, I know this one's not popular with you, but, and maybe I'm a little bit of a homer, but like, I'm thinking of a Zach Wilson. Zach
No,
Wilson in my mind. No,
no. He
no, and
couldn't
I
even get
agree.
the second streak job
No,
in
no.
Miami.
Well, that's because they want to give it to the rookie. Okay, so
Yeah, but he
was
couldn't even play on the Broncos.
Sam Darnold was worse on the Jets than Zach Wilson was. Fact, if you want to go look at
Yeah,
how
yeah.
they
No,
won,
for
lost
sure.
the
I
stats,
agree. I agree.
and then you could argue Sam Darnold was running scout team on the Panthers. You're like, dude, he can't even use the scout. He's playing
You're
defensive
right.
end.
That's fair. That's fair.
So I just think, right, if you would have told me the
But I think
Vikings
Sam Darnold has a very unique story. Like that doesn't
I
just
know because
happen.
he went and got to go and sit under Kyle Shanahan, get his confidence back.
We don't have Kyle Shanahan.
Yeah, but Zach Wilson was sitting under Mike McDaniel, who runs the Kyle Shanahan system. I don't think he's as good. And I'm not saying it's a home run hire.
Oh, I
I
see
don't
what you're
think there's a
saying.
home run out there, but I'm looking for guys that had a lot of talent that maybe didn't have a good first chance. Like anybody that went to the Jets, I'm like, dude, you're just, yeah, like it doesn't matter. Like you probably didn't stand a chance. So that's why my mind went to the Jets. I'm thinking Tanner McKee, the backup for the Eagles. Accurate. Like I don't think these are necessarily home run guys, but they can be your Sam Darnold, like that type of player. Oh, this guy ended up not being too bad, where they just gave him a chance. And I think it could, and maybe it's not the long term answer, but I think it could bring the Cardinals back to being competitive winning team. Like if I told you next year the Cardinals they went and they got a veteran guy, let's call it Davis Mills, and they go 9-8 and miss the playoffs. And you're like, whoa, they've turned a new leaf, right?
Yeah,
Like this
corner.
culture is
I'd be
different.
I'd
They
be
now
happy
believe in
with
themselves.
that.
And then they go and they're like, okay, well, now we are going to trade up in the draft because we've proven we have a good team. And the quarterback play was, it was good. But that's the missing piece. And they go and they're like, okay, now that we have a pretty solid offensive line, defensive line, and we don't really have a lot of holes, let's go trade two first rounders to move up in the draft to grab a top quarterback. Or maybe, hey, Joe Burrow is so disgruntled. Let's leverage our future and go get Joe Burrow, right? Like I think then the Cardinals are in a position to being like, hey, we are a quarterback away. I think the issue is sometimes when you're not a quarterback away and you go get a quarterback, then people are going to be begging for Ty Simpson to play. Ty Simpson's going to get thrust in there. He's going to not look great because the team's not perfect. And then it's like people give up on Ty Simpson like they're going to give up on maybe like a Darnold or whatever, and then you end up finding out you're like, oh well, that wasn't
No,
the
but
issue.
the difference with Ty Simpson is if and maybe he even falls to third round, but the difference would be there wouldn't be that expectation if we were taking him, and start like you guys have to battle it out. there's no expectation right now. What do you think of this though?
If they
Um,
picked him in the third round or later, I don't hate it. If they pick him in the second or the first round, I dislike it. A for the value and
okay,
B for the pressure.
no,
Or
that's fair. Um, you said Joe Burrow. He is. I think we can say he's disgruntled now, right?
yeah, it's just going to be tough for the Bengals to part ways with him. The one thing I could see the Bengals wanting to do part ways with him is the Bengals are in the NFL. You have poor owners, you have rich owners. The Bengals is poor ownership. They hate spending money, right? It's like they don't want to pay that Shamar Stewart, their first round draft pick, which they probably shouldn't have. He sucked this year. They just don't really want to shell out a lot of money. They don't want to fire their coaches. Why don't you want to fire your coaches? Because it's not part of the salary cap. So rich owners, they'll fire their coaches all the time and they're willing to
Hmm.
pay out their contracts. Like the Raiders, they're paying like three coaches right now because
Hmm.
they don't care, right? They're rich owner now and they just want to like spend a bunch. Bengals,
Hmm.
it's like the 32nd most valuable team. The owners don't want to spend a lot of money. It's why Zach Taylor hasn't been fired. They don't want to. They want to pay a coach very little, so they don't want a big name guy, and they don't want to be paying two coaches at once. So that's why Zach Taylor's still around. So I could see the Bengals being like, "Look, we want to spend less on the salary cap. We're going to get into trouble, and we have to start paying him more of this money because some of it's loaded backloaded."
So
So I could see a realm where they trade him. I just don't see a realm before this season. I see a realm where they have a bad season again, and Joe Burrow is more vocal. Right now, it just kind of more looks like it. Maybe said a little bit, but I think if they have another bad season, Joe Burrow's like, I'm out of here. Like I need to
what's
make a
a
stand.
what's a patch what's a package that would you think would get them excited to hop
So
hop on a trade this season?
yeah, so this season is going to cost more because right, Joe Burrow hasn't been as disgruntled, right? So it's like AJ Brown taking to the media. If he hadn't taken to the media and everybody thought he was fully happy, right? He gets a
Yeah,
first
he's
round.
worth a lot. Hmm.
If with being disgruntled, you probably like, the Eagles probably be like, dude, if we get a second round, that's pretty good. Like that's my opinion, and maybe I'm a misread on it, but I would say, I would say if they got, um, I would say you might have to give up, and you want to keep the fans happy, but maybe the Bengals don't care. So I would probably do, you're probably gonna give three firsts and a star to keep them happy.
Okay, what
So
about?
I was thinking of a star, like I don't know if that's Maserati Marv. You wish you would have had a better year. I don't know. I
I
mean,
don't think they'd want that with
you
their
might, you might,
because
you
they
might
have
hate,
T and Jamar.
you might hate this one. No, I know they wouldn't want that, but I'm just trying to think
If
of
you're
somebody.
saying McBride,
I know
move on.
I know that's what I
Yeah,
was
move
thinking
on. I'm not doing
because
that.
that could get them a little bit excited, and they're like, "Yeah,
What about
Joe Burrow."
this? Obviously, I mean, it's like obviously as we're breaking it down, we don't have a lot of stars, right? We have
No,
this guy, and then it's like, we have Buddha, but he's getting older. Um, everyone else is like, I mean, if you're thinking Madden ratings, everyone's in like the 80s, right? Um, but what do you think about this? So you get a replacement quarterback. That way you don't have to rely on old Joe Flacco again in Kyler Murray. You get 3 first-round picks, and then you either get like a couple third and fourth round picks as well, or you get like you get like a Josh Sweat, or you get like a Jordan Birch, or you get like even a Will Johnson on the defense.
yeah,
A
it would
young
see
a young player, a
my guess.
quarterback to replace.
Yeah. My thing with that though is I think it's such a hard sell for the Bengals. Like that's such a hard sell. You
Yeah.
know, like I'm not saying it's not impossible. It's just so hard to trade for these guys without like being able to sell it to your fan base.
Yeah.
Right now, I could probably find a way. Hey guys, he's been extremely injured. He's not been reliable.
Dude, you
Um,
don't think Cincinnati would kind of be excited about that
I,
package?
I think Cincinnati, the owners, would be excited about that because it saves some money. I think the um, I think the fan base is going to be pretty pissed because a lot of, I mean, pretty much
You
you go
think
out,
you so that's what I'm curious.
you're trading a bona fide top five quarterback on anybody's list, and I would say
Yeah.
most will say top three,
Yeah, oh,
right?
for
So
sure.
that's the issue. Like I'm trying to
But you
think of
think
like,
even with Joe Burrow's comments, he's been injured 2 out of the last 3
yeah,
seasons.
no, and that's why I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility, and that's why like that trade package after this next season, if he's disgruntled and they don't pan out again, I think that is a I think that is a total possibility.
See, but I think
On
if he's
one more
disgruntled,
season of
that's an
disgrace.
overpay.
But I think in this offseason, if he starts saying more stuff about how he's disgruntled and stuff, then I think there's a bigger chance of that happening. But he needs to come out and start saying some stuff. Like he needs to stir the pot and get out of there. I just don't know if he cares enough. But I think that's
I just need
definitely a
to start paying him
fair.
or something.
I think that's a fair trade package. One I've always thought was like could be potentially fair is Lamar for Joe Burrow. Just straight up swap and just see what happens.
Now we're just doing shit.
It's essentially like the Tua for Kyler straight up swap.
Yeah, which is
Just
gross.
the opposite.
It's like a
version.
fun version of it.
Yeah. Well, both are fun. Just
No,
one's,
Tua and Kyler's not fun.
I mean, for you, but it would be fun for me. Just
It'd
to
be
see
fun
what
for
happens.
you because you can torment me. That's all.
No, I don't want to torment you. You
No, you do. You literally just barely said you're praying for the Super Bowl to be during my child's birth. You pray on my downfall.
Tua is 2 years removed from leading the league in passing yards.
Yes, he is.
But everybody, Connor, he's a big Arizona guy, so he's got his sons playing. Man loves himself a little D-Book.
Yeah, and so we got to wrap this thing up. So, hey, listen, we've been out we missed the week, so we thought we'd bring you this banger, hour 40 episode, hour 30 episode. Listen, if you've made it this far, show some love. Leave a like, subscribe if you're new, and tell a friend to tell a friend. The boys are cooking. So, road to 1,000 subscribers. We're slowly growing every day. We appreciate all of you guys showing the love. So, until next time, we out. Peace.
Go buy a 7-Up. Support our sponsor.